Arts in the 21st Century, a spotlight on collaborative engagements. My name is Stephen Landwehr. I am a junior chemistry and German major, and I will be moderating the panel today. The format we have chosen today is called a lightning talk, which is a short, engaging presentation with faculty, staff, and student participation. We will now hear from Bevin, Cowie, and Adam Garcia on how ARC, State Farm, and local nonprofits empower students to get stuff done with the Community Partnership Program.
Hi. Thank you for coming to our talk this morning. I abbreviated Get Stuff Done as GSD. That's our favorite phrase in the ARC office. If you came to Deborah's talk yesterday, you heard her say it then as well. What did you say? We're not the Google it and think about it department. We're the Get Stuff Done department. And I'm talking today about the Community Partnership Program, which is one of the many things that we do in ARC. And getting stuff done is especially important in the CPP program. As you'll find, we spend roughly 20 days and get a ton of things done for our nonprofits in those 20 days. I'm actually an alum, class of 2010, and I did the CPP program in 2009, and 2016 is going to be our 10-year anniversary, which is really cool. In case you don't know a lot about ARC, there are some really awesome stories behind all of these photographs, and I don't have time to go into all of them, but you should totally pick my brain about them after the presentation. But I will tell you about Tia, because she's one of our student responders. This was in our Action Research seminar class last semester. It's a 300-level poli-sci and sociology course where students learn the textbook piece of action research, but they're also partnered with community partners and nonprofits, and they do an action research project. And the good, better, best part of my title is a play to the layering that we like to do in ARC. Tia did a workshop with the Regional Alternative School and helped students make $8 microscopes. You use wood, plexiglass, and a little magnifier that's on the end of a laser pointer, which you can buy on Amazon for 20 bucks. Like a whole bunch of them for 20 bucks. And for $8, you build a microscope that works with a smartphone camera, and it will magnify things up to 200 times. And it's pretty darn cool. And these students made this in the workshop that she coordinated, and using funds that a grant class student had actually secured the previous semester. So a grant writing class where we write real grants for real money because fake money is useless. As Deb loves to say, and I love that phrase as well. One of our students had actually gotten that money, and then Tia got to implement a portion of that in the class the next semester. So that's a really nice overview of the kinds of things that we like to do in ARC. But CPP specifically, the Community Partnership Program, what does that mean? So for 10 years, State Farm and Illinois Wesleyan have selected 10 students to spend their summer doing this 3-2-1 format. They spend 3 days at State Farm, 2 days at a local nonprofit, and once a week they get together with me and we have a workshop. The workshops are sometimes academic in nature. We like to polish elevator speeches because when you say to even your fellow State Farm interns, I'm a CPP intern, they're like, what is that? And why aren't you here on Thursdays and Fridays? So we work on things like that, and how do you succinctly describe what it is we're up to all summer. We talk about nonprofit infrastructure and the common challenges that the modern nonprofits are facing. But we also like to have fun. We go to the Shakespeare Festival every year. We have a nationally ranked Shakespeare Festival here in our backyard. And I really enjoy getting the students out and showing them that Bloomington Normal is a cool place to live. When I was 20, I did not plan on living here, and now I do. Here I am, and thanks in large part to ARC. So we try to have as much fun as possible. And I'm heavily involved throughout the summer. Deb and I both, well, really all year. So this month I'm starting to meet with all the interns for 2016 and their nonprofit supervisors to make sure that we're scoping really good projects that we can knock out in 20 days. Because really when you boil it down, the summer is 10 weeks and 2 days at the nonprofit. Not a lot of time. So we're very hands-on in helping the students and the nonprofits figure out what is it we want to try to execute this summer. And we're also there to pivot when it's like, wait a minute, we didn't get the grant we thought we were going to get, so they have to do something else. So we try to provide as much support as possible to make sure that everyone is successful and really happy with the action research projects that the students are executing each summer. And the goal of the program is, of course, collaboration. We have State Farm Insurance, we have our nonprofits, and we have Wesleyan and ARC. And at the center of that, we have our intern. So it's an amazing experience for the intern because they kind of get a 360 of what does it look like when a corporation, higher ed, and nonprofits come together, because they really are always working together because we're all in a shared community. And it's a really good opportunity for the students to see how does that play out. We want the students to be empowered to continue to be engaged citizens after the program, so that wherever they wind up, whether it's here or elsewhere, they're interested in what the nonprofits in their community are doing. They're interested in what the philanthropy and focus of their employer is, if that's a for-profit business. And of course, it's all about just getting out and being boots on the ground. So in our ARC seminar, we do a little bit of that as well. We talk about the theory of action research, and we work on that with the students as well in our workshops throughout the summer, but it's about being in the nonprofit and then also seeing how State Farm interacts with these nonprofits and how they come together to get a lot of really wonderful things done in the community. A good example of a very successful CPP intern, and there are many in 10 years, is Jenny Kuchatsky. She's actually graduating this year, and she did CPP in 2014. On paper, she was maybe an odd fit for CPP. She was a pre-med student. So you think, probably not going to wind up working at State Farm, and probably not going to wind up working at a nonprofit either. But her personal passions and interests in community health aligned really well with the State Farm Philanthropy Department, which is where she was placed at State Farm. And she worked at the Wesleyan Revitalization Project in the community. And one of the big issues on the west side is the fact that it is a food desert. There's nowhere to find fresh produce on the west side. There are no grocery stores. So Jenny came up with an amazing idea. Originally called the Veggie Oasis, and now I believe it is Farm to Food Pantry. They're one and the same? Yes? Okay. And it is a zero-cost, entirely volunteer-run program where volunteers will take unsold produce from the farmer's market, which is only 3 blocks from the west side, and take that to the west side every Saturday through the season and give it away for free. The farmers love it because they don't have to compost perfectly good produce. And of course, the residents on the west side love it because they get fresh food, which is not always easy to do. And it starts an interesting conversation about where do you get your food. When was the last time that you had a fresh tomato? And this is a kohlrabi, and yes, you can eat it, and here's what you can make with it. And it's also a great time to talk about the farmer's market with these folks, because our farmer's market actually accepts link cards, which I'm still, and they've been doing it now for more than 5 years, and I'm always surprised how few people know that that's an option. And that was also the work of an ARC student, which is fantastic. So letting folks know what is available to them and encouraging them to connect with the farmer's market. This will be the 3rd summer that program has been going on. So I think it's a perfect example of how she layered the experience at both State Farm and her nonprofit and her personal interests to create a project that continues to live on beyond her time in CPP. I want to turn it over to Adam. He is a CPP alum last summer. He is about to graduate, and he is actually going to be working at State Farm full-time following his CPP internship. Adam, take it away.
Perfect, thank you. There goes an elevator speech, but and I think I'm wearing the same shirt as in the picture. I do have more than one shirt, so pretty much at State Farm, I am what's called a risk coordinator. So for IT and IT analysts and IT solutions, what that encompasses is basically analyzing the security vulnerabilities in State Farm's systems, their mainframe, things like that, and basically seeing where there are potential risks for losses, because as we all know, State Farm holds a lot of customer data, and it would be tragedy, honestly, if something was to penetrate the system. So part of my responsibilities are to look at the different vulnerabilities, see what we can do to mitigate those risks, or go back and try to fix them entirely. And then at MCCA, Mid-Central Community Action, so they are located in West Bloomington. Their main goal is to educate, equip, and empower individuals to lead domestic abuse-free lives and also become financially literate. And so there I performed an internal audit on different risks that they had, and they were such as if the CEO has too many responsibilities and what's going to happen if they were to leave the company, or abuse of power, and so we had different controls in place. And the other thing that I also did for Mid-Central was I performed an environmental scan. And so what that basically entailed was I looked at all different aspects in the community, such as demographics, financial health, and also education. And we applied it to MCCA's pretty much how they service the community. And so we looked at different gaps they were missing to further expand those services to make sure that they weren't missing any parts and other citizens in the community could benefit from those services. And so from the environmental scan, they were able to apply to NeighborWorks grants, and then I think they got $100,000 in grants this past year, which was really incredible. I didn't really pick the pictures, but I think that as part of the combination of State Farm and Mid-Central, there was a lot of opportunities for growth. There was one day in particular where we just all went out and volunteered with the different nonprofits, and for the CPP interns, it was people that we already knew, but for the other interns that were there, it was quite eye-opening for them. They were able to see the different organizations and see the different opportunities that different companies will provide to the citizens. And so I think that just with that alone, it just kind of, you can see the combination of what State Farm invests into the community, as well as what people also, other people in the community also invest for other people who need assistance. And so part of the one day that we volunteer, we were just taking down a shed. MCCA manages properties to help with assisted living, so people have places to live, and they're not all crowded in very small apartments or houses. So we were just taking down a shed, making sure and clearing it up. They do a lot of construction work, and that was probably, we found a snake and it was absolutely disgusting. Part of what we also learned in the internship was elevator speeches. We were able to professionally explain what we do in a really short amount of time, and I thought that was really beneficial because whenever we talked to other interns, they had no idea what we did, or other people within my department and systems, they just would always ask, like, you never hear Thursdays or Fridays, and just, yeah, I know, I'm over doing something else. But it also provided a lot of opportunities for networking. I met a lot of wonderful people working within systems at State Farm, as also other people in different nonprofit organizations. It's quite interesting to see just the other resources that are available within the community. And as somebody who'd be living here, it's just nice to know that other people are also investing in not only the community, but also the people in it. And so I think that one of my favorite group activities, as Bevin mentioned, we had a workshop. It was we built marshmallow towers with pasta, tape, and marshmallow. We wanted to see who got the highest. My team won. And it's just interesting because we also saw a video afterwards to see how collaboration works among people, and elementary and middle school students outperform corporate executives and bankers. I don't know if they outperform engineers, but I wouldn't be surprised. But I thought it was just really fun. Yeah, I thought it was a great time to learn and then really come close with the other interns that were involved. And so basically, I think that this entire internship was really important to me gaining experience, as well as just giving back to the community. I've encouraged many people to apply for the internship. I know a couple people next year that are going to be in it. And so I think that they're able to also see the different aspects of the community and see how Bloomington's developed. I mean, we've got the most restaurants per capita, I think, but there's other aspects that Bloomington Normal offers, and it's just nice to really expand upon those. And so I think that just with my takeaway from the entire internship, it's nice to know that, as cheesy as it sounds, State Farm is being a good neighbor because they're there and they're providing this opportunity for it. They love it when I say that. But I also think that with also working with the nonprofit, it really provided me some time to expand and also broaden my horizons. So I'm going to pass it off now to the student responses.
We will, as he said, now hear from student respondents Brianna Piro and Tia Pasadas.
Hi everybody, my name is Brianna. I just want to start by saying that the CPP experience for me was amazing, but also that it's still up for debate whether or not Adam's team actually won. But anyway, I would like to talk a little bit about how the lessons and skills that we learned over this summer are adaptable or are transferable and applicable beyond graduation. And I laughed a little bit when I said adaptable because that was actually my first reason as to why. I feel like learning the skill of adaptability so well will help tremendously in our future, both at State Farm and my nonprofit, which was Mark First, where they serve individuals with developmental disabilities. At both of those organizations, my projects changed frequently, and I had to adapt to those changes. Specifically at Mark First, working with somebody with a developmental disability, their needs often change quite drastically and frequently, and so you have to learn how to roll with those changes. And I think one of the most important things is that to realize that you have this end goal that you must meet by the end of the summer, and that there's going to be challenges, there's going to be obstacles along the way, but you have to learn to change with that. You have to adapt and keep going, because if you don't reach those goals at the end, you're actually negatively impacting somebody possibly. So I just think that the adaptability aspect can be transferable both to IWU, where as a student sometimes we're given papers or projects and exams all at once, and you think, oh my gosh, how am I going to get all of this done all at one time? But you have to adapt. You have to keep working with that. And then another valuable skill that I think we learned was responsibility, but not just responsibility for yourself. You can turn in a paper at school, and if you fail to do so, that's really only impacting you. But through the CPP experience, if you fail to complete a task or a project, if you fail to show up to a meeting, you were actually impacting other people. For example, at Mark First, one of my jobs was to work one-on-one with clients. If I failed to show up to meet them, I would potentially be letting somebody down. And I think that's really valuable to learn this responsibility that, outside of school, you're actually going to make a difference, and you're going to have responsibilities that do impact others. So I think that was very valuable as well, and that it absolutely can be transferable, applicable here at Wesleyan and beyond. So.
My name is Tia Katsavis. I was an English major at Wesleyan. I say was, even though I'm class of 2016 because I was a December graduate. So my goal for the CPP in the summer was to find out what I wanted to do with my life. I had previously interned at a nonprofit and at a for-profit, and so then I figured, okay, now I have the opportunity to do both, and if the spirit moves me one way, then I will go with it and hopefully find my people at that organization. And I'm glad to say I did, though it's not the expectation, or it's not the same as what my expectation was. I thought I would be going more the nonprofit route, but now I'm currently working at State Farm in the same department that I interned in. So I began at the YWCA not really knowing what I would do, and after some really great conversations with Deb, I decided that I'm going to do my own thing and I'm going to create my own event. And so I was able to do that. It was called My 2 Cents, and it was a financial literacy dinner discussion. It was a group of 10 women that I invited from various backgrounds and with different careers to have dinner at Averday, which is unfortunately not closed. But it was a great setting where we can just talk about our financial questions about loans and about debt and what problems that we're all having, and learn from each other. So that type of collaboration was what I loved, and I'm really proud to say that I was able to carry out a project that may or may not continue in the future, but it has that potential because everyone in CPP and ARC has that goal, is to keep doing things, keep getting things done, and having one successful event like Jenny's Veggie Oasis can turn into something much bigger than that. So then for my other 3 days a week, I was at State Farm, the Enterprise Compliance and Ethics Department. If you asked me 6 months ago what the heck that meant, I could not tell you. Right now, I have a little better so I was able to use my communication skills, my writing, and everything I've learned here at Wesleyan in the corporate setting. And I'm still doing that now. But the most exciting part of this internship is that it led me on a solid career path for which I feel confident about my future and the choices that I've made to pursue this collaborative engagement. And even though I'm working at State Farm, I I'm still so much part of this community, and like Bevin, I didn't expect that I would be living in Bloomington, but here I am, and I do like it here. And so one other thing I want to talk to you about before I sign off is the impact between Illinois Wesleyan and our mission and the CPP program. In our mission, we say we want to provide unique opportunities with distinctive curricula and programs, and CPP is exactly that. It is unique in that it's the only one of its kind in the country, and it's unique that everyone in our program, the 10 of us in CPP 2015, have vastly different experiences, going different routes, but either way, I think we found something that we really value. And the other part is that we foster creativity, critical thinking, effective communication, strength of character, and a spirit of inquiry. And I am so proud to say that I carry all of those skills in my everyday life, which was a foundation at Wesleyan that I built, and then I was able to carry through CPP and still use it today. Whenever I get a new project or assignment from my manager, I say, sign me on, because one day I'll be able to say that I learned something from it. So, that's all I got.
We'll have 5 minutes for questions from the audience.
All at once, yes.
Oh, yeah, pauses. My question is kind of for the students. So, a couple of you now, right, are working or going to work at State Farm. And so how do you see that the experience that you had really led you in that direction? How do you connect those?
Well, I mean, it was really interesting combination because we were able to see how Fortune 500 company works, and then also we would get experience with the nonprofit. So in that way, if you didn't know what you wanted to do, like Tia, then you could decide do you want to work for a nonprofit, or it kind of gives you more of a direction. And then just with them working at State Farm, there's so many growth opportunities within the company, and they do a lot of promoting and hiring within, that just within the 3 months that they were there, they gave us a lot of different workshops to better ourselves as professional people, and then also to network among people. So I think that just with the opportunity that State Farm provides alone, we were able to, I think, just kind of easily transition into the workforce.
Sorry, no, I was I didn't mention, but I'm still at Mark first as well. Right now as an intern, and then this summer starting as an employee. So like on the nonprofit aspect as well, like I kind of came in, since I'm a psych and sociology major, I kind of came in thinking that the nonprofit was going to be more my route, and that reaffirmed that too. So that kind of goes along. Yeah. Oh, okay, sorry.
Could you say a little more about the implications of your experience for the theme here, liberal arts in the 21st century? What needs to change, or what needs to be emphasized, or how would you reflect on your experience?
Sure. As for the liberal arts aspects, I think I can utilize things that I learned in all of my various classes in this particular internship. I was a business minor, so that definitely helped me out working at a corporation. But as an English major, in those critical thinking skills that I learned helped me with that adaptability aspect of it. In that 3 days a week I was at State Farm, and then that Wednesday night I had to make the mental switch and say, okay, now I'm going to the YWCA, totally different experience. I'm going to be doing totally different things, but I'm still going to have that passion and that dedication that I had learned here at Wesleyan and that I had transferred through to my jobs.
Tia, can you tell us a little bit about the 2 cents program? How did you get that idea? I know YWCA is about empowering women, but why that particular topic? And now that you are done, any reflections, use your critical thinking to tell us how we might improve that project in the future.
Definitely. Our task for the summer, all of us interns had to write a grant. It had to be related to financial literacy. And so one thing I love to do is I love to talk to other people, and I love small group discussions because my English stuff is small group discussions. And so I wanted to transfer that into something that could be very productive and that it can answer questions. You can make connections and learn from other women in the community and women that you wouldn't have encountered before. Some women had graduate degrees, some women just graduated from high school, some women were all the way in between. And that building connections, I think, was the most valuable part of it that I would think is definitely needs to be carried through when this project is enacted again. Something I think we could do better is always a tricky question, but I think it's getting that diverse group of women and to have that adequately represent the community we're in. Sometimes it's hard when you're in your little social sphere to stay within that social sphere, but once you branch out and you're able to connect with different people and learn different things from them, that's really where the value lies.
So you spend 3 days a week at a Fortune 50 company and 2 days a week at a small nonprofit. Tell us one thing that you found the same between those two environments and one thing that was really different between those two environments. And since you were all CPP interns, how many of you can answer this?
Way back when, in 2009, I think the thing that was the same was, everyone was having discussions about how do we find and keep great employees on both sides. So there, everybody was kind of struggling with that and finding the right people to fit into what they needed. And then things that were very different. I wasn't at Mark first. I worked at Mark first afterward. At the East Central Illinois Area Agency on Aging, we were using computers that were donated by State Farm. So there was this interesting sort of divide of everything is newer and wonderful at State Farm, and we're kind of piecing ourselves together over here at the nonprofit because our budget is a lot smaller. But State Farm is wonderful and gives all of those things away that are still very useful. So, that's what I remember most. We got to stop signs, so I don't know.
Anyone else has something real quick?
Yeah. Anything else that we want to share about
We got to
similarity
stop
or
sign.
difference? We got to